That has been my life's purpose last 10 years, just to tell people who you really are is not what others tell you, is not what your parents told you. It is not what your society told you. It is not what your job tells you. It is not any of these. Who you really are is this amazing higher consciousness that you are capable of creating your own life. You are capable of being whoever you decide to be, not whoever they told you to be.
हेलो एवरीवन, हम लोग जब बड़े हो जाते हैं ना तो हैप्पीनेस, माइंडफुलनेस, इस सब के कॉन्सेप्ट से थोड़ा नाता टूट जाता है. तो who better than that to ask about it than a mindfulness coach and a clinical psychologist. Today we have at Expertribe, Shadi. Over to her.
Shadi, tell me about your journey. You were born in Iran and you right now you work in India, right? How has been the journey?
Yeah.
And also tell us how this particular transition has shaped you.
Wow. Okay. This is a story that I love to share. And for no other reason but the fact that I believe all of us have a story. And when we share our story, somebody is going to, it is going to touch somebody's heart and somebody is going to learn something. And according to me, if I can share my story and even one person can connect with it and decide that, okay, I am inspired by this person, I will not be where she was, or if I am where she was, then I am going to do what she did, then I'm happy with it. So yes, my story begins from, I have been an immigrant child from the age of 11. And I have lived many parts of the world. But at some stage, very young age, I was separated from my family because of issues of, the world, politics, and, visas and boundaries and all that. And I always craved to be back with my family, obviously. And I wanted that feeling of being back in a place where you're loved. So unfortunately, at the very young age of 16, I fell in love with a man who I thought would be my soulmate. And by the age of 19, I was married. And by the age of 20, I just threw everything that meant anything to anybody. And I just left everything and I came to India for him. I have no regrets, I would say, at this stage. I have two beautiful children out of that marriage, and I have learned so much. And I tell you, it took me years to forgive him, but I have realized over the years, after forgiving him, I realized that he was a great contribution to the person I am today. So it was 18 years of very bad marriage. He is a victim of his own personality, a narcissist. So if you know anything about narcissist people, they will never change. And they're one of the toughest personalities to live with, basically, because you can't get through to them, basically. That's the thing. That's the problem. I tried very hard for the 10 years of my life. I tried to prove everybody else wrong, that because everybody was against my moving here from UK. So I just tried hard to prove everybody so that I don't have to hear someone telling me, we told you so. Nobody likes to hear that. And I was very young, obviously. And no, I didn't budge. I tried. I kept taking it on, thinking that love will, just resolve everything. And after that, I had other experiences and, betrayal, cheating, everything. And then I realized, oh my God, this is not done. I was just sinking. I had depression. I was almost suicidal. Many, many times in my life, many times. And the only reason I think I never went through actually taking my life away was one was my kids. And more than that, now I look back and I see, no, deep down in my heart, I was a strong person always. The reason that I didn't want to really give up on that marriage was that because I was too strong-headed. I just wanted to make it work. But you see, nobody changes. People don't change. That's something that I really believe. Nobody changes for another person. And the man could never see that this is so harmful for me, for him, for the family. So he wouldn't change. And then I realized I got into a journey of spirituality. You will not believe I used to meditate for 4 hours straight, because that was my way of, finding strength to face the rest of the hours of the day with the kind of person he was, and feeling that I don't exist. Then there came a point that I tell you, I couldn't recognize myself anymore, because I had to change so much for him. So much giving and never receiving, giving and never receiving. And it was literally, I would look in the mirror and I would be like, who the hell are you? I don't even know you anymore. I think the only thing I had left with me was my name. Nothing else was left. And for that matter, I told you, my name in my mother tongue is happiness. And what I was not was happiness. That's for sure. So there was this realization. I don't know whether it probably came out of my 4 hours and hours of meditation, but the realization came to me that nobody's coming to save me. I can keep calling gods and any god that I want, but nobody's coming down to save me. And it is I myself who has the power to save myself. And that was the beginning of a very tough time, because I decided to walk out of the marriage. I decided to go for a divorce. I decided to, until then, can you imagine, he would not even allow me to work or do anything. So I decided to start. I had financial problems because I didn't want to ask anyone. So I started working. I started doing my master's. I started doing other certifications. And it was tough. It was very tough. But every step of it, I was okay, because I knew now I am responsible. I am in charge now. I am not waiting for anybody to save me, not even God. I was not praying for someone to come and save me. All I was doing was working with my own, skeleton in the cupboard and trying to work out where did I go wrong. And that is when I got into this journey within. And I tell you, it is scary to begin with when you start digging into your own life and your own mind. But once you clear layers and layers, and then you reach the space where you know who you really are. And that has been my life's purpose last 10 years, just to tell people who you really are is not what others tell you, is not what your parents told you. It is not what your society told you. It is not what your job tells you. It is not any of these. Who you really are is this amazing higher consciousness that you are capable of creating your own life. You are capable of being whoever you decide to be, not whoever they told you to be. And that is something, when I say this, I feel empowered. Forget being it, I feel it's so empowering when you are not looking at somebody else to tell you who you are. Who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? Because it's always somebody else defining you. Whether you're good, whether you're bad, whether you should be studying engineering or medicine or this or that or computers, or whether you should be doing this, you should be marrying this one, you should be it's like constantly somebody is telling you who you are and what your life should be like. But that's not what we are. That's not who we are born to be. So that was my journey. And once I started working, I started with being a teacher. I started with being a teacher with a group of amazing people. I had an amazing mentor. So I got trained as a teacher, as a Montessori teacher. Then I started working with kids with special needs. And I thoroughly enjoyed. It was such an, heart touching. And, it was such a fulfilling experience that I decided that, no, I got to do my master's in psychology, because I really by then I had started reading a lot. And I always had this thing of us for children, for parenting. In fact, I had these diaries which I used to write when my daughter was born. I was very young when I had my daughter, and I used to write daily, my experiences with her. That how did the day go? If she would throw tantrums, then I would just note it and say, what did I react? Was it a good reaction? It wasn't a good reaction. Maybe I should have done something else. And then I was not a psychologist, but somehow I had this thing of understanding how's a better way of doing this. And anyways, so in the journey, then I started obviously working. I did my master's. I did a lot of other modalities, from counseling to EFT, NLP, life coaching, and it's been great. I tell you what, it's been fantastic, because according to me, nothing is better than being in a space when you know yourself.
Yeah, something.
And today, yes.
Yeah, something tells me when I'm listening to you, I feel like a little bit drugged. I'm so much immersed in the conversation. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Kumar. I take that as a compliment. But anyways,
these are
along the way, of course, I along the way, I decided to work on health, because I believe body and mind are so connected. And today I'm a vegan. I create my own recipes, and I really like to advocate healthy lifestyle, healthy living, because it is connected to a healthy mind. So that's another thing that I'm really passionate about. So this is my journey. My journey has been very, you just told me before we started up that you like to do different stuff. I feel you, because I do a lot of things at the same time. I'm writing my book. I'm doing stuff. I'm coaching, I'm counseling, I'm doing a lot of stuff at the same time. So it doesn't have to be, but as long as you have the ability to focus, and if you can do justice, and if you're not burned out, I think it's okay.
That's nice. That's a good example for me to have. Tell us about what your current role is in terms of the psychologist, and tell us about the course that you mentioned a couple of minutes ago about the course, right? Tell us about that.
Yeah, sure. So currently, I tell you, I have been, as I said, I've been studying. So for years of my life, I just kept studying. I kept studying while I was working hard to earn my living. And I kept studying more than anything else. And then last few years, finally, I went out there and I decided I was, of course, working. I was working, as I said, with special needs kids. Then I was working with cancer patients and their family members. So I was working along the way. But last 1.5 years, I've just been out there and I've had like my own clients. I've been working as a therapist, as a counselor, and also as a coach, because I do. Yes, I did my master's in clinical psychology because I wanted to understand, because I wanted to, get deeper into it. But frankly speaking, I have a very eclectic point of view. I like to apply various modalities when I work with clients, depending on what works. And I have some beliefs which are not so much so a clinical psychologist beliefs. One of them is that we are not broken. I don't believe anybody is needing to be fixed. I really don't believe in that. And I know a lot of my colleagues who might listen now, they want to say, oh, but then believe it or not, I have that feeling that we are not broken. We don't need to be fixed. All we need sometimes is to know ourselves better. Secondly, is to maybe a bit of hand holding to find those solutions which are already existing within us. So they can, as a coach or as a counselor or whatever I want to name myself, or a therapist, probably I can just open some windows by asking the right questions so that the person can find their own way. Because we all know what's right. That's my opinion. It doesn't, of course, I'm not saying, I have studied clinical psychology. I know that there are some disorders which are chemically induced, which are because of your brain neurons not being working, to simply put it. So yes, I'm not saying that no disorder exists. But it is not that we all are broken, we all need to be fixed. That I do not believe. So that's why I've created some, program. I've been working on lots of different things. Like I work with anxiety and mindfulness. I have been doing those webinars, but there is one particular program which I call the Mind Mastery. And as I said, I am a great believer that the mind has got its own rules, and if we understand it, we can go around it. And that is a 30-day program which I conduct, and in that, a lot of things happen because I believe in the limiting beliefs that we have. As I said, most of the thoughts, most of the beliefs that we have come from somewhere, and they are not ours. And this is something that we are so convinced that they are ours. It's very difficult for a lot of people to actually digest this. But once you sit and actually talk it through, when we get into that mode of understanding everything, we realize that, oh no, somebody has told me this. It is not real. Is it really mine? The thing is that most of us don't question these beliefs. If you start questioning the belief, then you probably understand that whether it is authenticated by you, are these your values, or is it somebody else's? That's another thing that throughout this program I work with, limiting beliefs and our core values. What are our values? If you ask most of the youngsters, forget youngsters, if you ask a 60 years old also, a lot of times we don't know what are our core values. What is most important to us? Because if we understand our values, we can live a life with authenticity. And when we are authentic, we are our true self. And when we are our true self, we are empowered because that's our true self. See, it's very simple when I say it, but a lot of people think, oh, okay, it's nice to say it. It's not difficult to be there. It just takes a will, a desire to move from one point to another point. That's all you need. Yeah. So that is my program. And in that, I have a 21 days of challenge where this challenge is mostly based on mindfulness. And I share an e-journal because journaling is I know it's very popular. Everybody talks about journaling, but it does make a big difference in, because when you articulate your emotions and you put them down, emotions cannot be overlooked. You've got to feel the emotion until you can't feel it anymore. So you articulate it, and then it makes a difference. Then you can always look at it from outside. Then you don't, define yourself by that. So it follows with a 21 days challenge, which, as I said, I produced, I shared this e-journal with my clients. And of course, that's at the end of it, frankly speaking, what is a takeaway for most of us is understanding our own mind. And that, if you start applying it, you're simply not at the mercy of your own mind anymore. That's where exactly I go. And of course, I'm involved in a few other organizations. I'm also involved in a very nice, blooming organization called Drolma Constellation Club. This is a club that is filled with female members, counselors, healers, psychologists, therapists. And we are right now, in fact, we are having, plans of giving free consultations, counseling to COVID patients and their families. So there's a lot happening on that front. It's an amazing group of female colleagues, and it's really satisfying to be there. And I am on social media. I share a lot of stuff on social media because a lot of people these days, as bad or as good as people can call it, but it is a way of connecting these days, especially in this pandemic that we all are, restrained physically. So social media has been great. A lot of people get in touch with me, whether it is asking for my recipes, because I share a lot of healthy vegan recipes, whether it's asking for my recipes or asking for counseling. So it's been a platform which works well to connect with a lot of people. I am talking on Clubhouse. I don't know whether you are aware of Clubhouse. So I'm talking. I'm moderating on Clubhouse on a few subjects on gratitude, on moms and kids. So it's busy. And I love it. As I said, I put my hands into it. I'm writing my book, which is almost done. It's going to be published soon. So it's a lot of things happening at the same time.
We are going to put all the links in the description for people to know a little bit more about you.
Thank you.
तो ये था हमारा पार्ट 2 वीडियो. बट आप लोग जो हो ना, देख तो लेते हो वीडियो पर सब्सक्राइब नहीं करते. प्लीज सब्सक्राइब करो यार. हम लोग भी मोटिवेटेड रहेंगे अच्छा कंटेंट आप तक पहुंचाने के लिए.